Just think, an honest soldier is declared a traitor by a corrupt leader for his own benefit. In the beginning of the story, Bob and his companion Don were on a mission in the desert. After destroying the enemy's truck, they were ready to leave from there. And then a group of enemies suddenly attacked them. Bob used his excellent shooting skills to surround many enemies, but many bombs started exploding around them, after which they asked for help from the CIA, but no answer came from there, because of which Donnie died in this deadly attack. In the anger of losing his friend, Bob fired many bullets at the helicopter, and after missing some targets, he finally dropped the helicopter. 3 years have passed since this incident. Now, Bob was living a normal life on the mountains with his dog. But then one day, Colonel Isaac came to meet him. He had a mission for Bob in which he had to make a plan to kill the president. But in reality, he didn't have to kill him. The colonel told him that he had received a secret message that the president is about to be killed soon. So he wants to make a plan with the help of an expert and stop him. Bob refused in the beginning, but then the colonel gave him all the information so that his mind can change. After thinking for a long time, Bob decided to help in this mission. Bob went to all the places where the president was going to give a speech. And after doing a lot of research, he told Johnson that the president will be attacked in Philadelphia. Johnson thanked him and also told him to come that day so that he can help him. There, Bob also met an old soldier named Michael Sandor, who was going to help him in this plan. On the day of the president's speech, Bob reached a room with Johnson and his team from where all the places could be kept under surveillance. As soon as the president came on stage, Bob told the whole team that this would be the right time for the attacker, so they should get the president off the stage. Then, a policeman shot Bob and a stranger shot the president. After understanding things, Bob broke the window and ran away from there. And as soon as he left, Johnson and his team cleaned the whole room and only left Bob's sniper and his fingerprint. On the way, an FBI agent, Nick, tried to stop him, but Bob easily defeated him and tied him with a grill, and he ran away in his car. But before leaving, he told Nick that he did not shoot the president, but he was being trapped without talking. As soon as Bob ran away, the police of the whole city were looking for him. Even helicopters were behind him. To get rid of them, Bob put his car in a car wash where he grabbed the back seat and took out the first aid kit and bandaged his wound. After that, he got back on the road, but the police soon surrounded him from all sides. And when there was no way, Bob put the car in reverse gear and jumped straight into a canal. After doing a lot of checking, the FBI found only the car because Bob had already left from there. After leaving the canal, Bob stole a truck in which he hid and ran away. On all the news channels, Bob's picture was being shown, and Nick was also being humiliated. After that, his boss told him a lot, and Nick told his boss about Bob being trapped. His boss did not believe this at all, so he told Nick that there's no need to write this in his report. At night, Bob reached a very big shop, and out of fear of being recognized, he first cut the shop's lights and then took all the things he needed. After that, he entered a mechanic shop stealthily where he did his treatment. But after Nick's great humiliation, he was put on phone duty, where he got a call from a woman working in the same shop because he suspected that Bob had come to his shop a while ago. Nick told this to his boss while trusting him, but he refused to listen to anything Nick said. Nick did not give up, and he worked on it all night. The next morning, when Galindo saw him working, he told him that the police officer who had shot Bob had been murdered. This made Nick's suspicions even stronger. There, Bob, disguised as a mechanic, went to meet Donnie's widow, Sarah. He had never met her before, but when Donnie died, Bob wrote a letter to Sarah and used to send her flowers every year. So Sarah also remembered Bob. She had seen Bob in the news, so she hesitated to let him come inside. But Bob convinced her with great difficulty. When he went inside, Sarah told him that the president was absolutely fine and the attack was on the leader of another country who was present at the meeting. Nick inspected all the buildings around the crime scene, where he found marks of the sniper tripod stand. When Bob woke up, Sarah told him that the government had shot his dog. Upon hearing this, Bob said that he would clear his name and believed that only Nick could help him with this task. So he made a plan to meet Nick. Sarah was also ready to help him and gave Donnie's rifle to Bob. According to the plan, Sarah met Nick in a cafe where she provided him with information about Bob's car so that he could search for it. Johnson, who was sitting peacefully after carrying out the act, started feeling a bit restless. Nick did exactly what Bob wanted. Bob's plan was progressing perfectly because Johnson also received news of Nick's actions. He instructed his men to keep an eye on Nick, and eventually they kidnapped Nick one day. They wanted to find out how much Nick knew. When Nick didn't talk, they were about to kill him, but Bob saved him at the last minute. Nick asked Bob for legal assistance, but Bob was only seeking revenge because he wanted to clear his name, and he believed that they could do the same to someone else in the future. Now that Bob had saved Nick's life, Nick was also willing to help. Johnson and his men learned that Bob used to send flowers to Sarah every year, so they sent some men to kidnap her. Nick and Bob met the weapons expert Mr. Raitt, who informed them that Johnson and his men used the paper patching technique, where the bullet is fired from one gun, but the trajectory appears to be from another direction. Mr. Raitt also mentioned that besides Bob, only Mikhail was capable of such a mission. Bob understood from Mr. Raitt's expression that Mikhail was none other than Sandor. Nick called his boss and asked him to find Sandor. However, it was actually a trap set up by Johnson. Late at night, Johnson's men entered Nick's house to capture Sarah, where Sarah killed one man, but the other caught her. Meanwhile, Bob and Nick arrived at Sandor's location and obtained the necessary materials from a hardware store to create a bomb. Bob realized that a trap must have been set for them, so he taught Nick how to shoot with a sniper rifle. When the time came, Nick informed Bob about the location of all the guards. Bob killed each guard one by one and planted bombs everywhere before entering. Sandor was not surprised to see Bob there, and he began to tell the truth. He revealed that Johnson had deceived him, just like he had deceived Bob. The plan was to assassinate the leader of another country, because he was going to expose the village that had been destroyed by Johnson and his army 3 years ago. Bob finally understood why the CIA had abandoned him and Donnie to die. Sandor also revealed how Johnson had used numerous other soldiers for his own benefit. Nick informed them that many soldiers were surrounding the house. Sandor told Bob that Sarah was now under Johnson's control, so he should carefully consider his actions. Nick activated the bombs, and Bob killed several soldiers one by one while escaping through the smoke. Nick also eliminated some soldiers with a sniper rifle to ensure Bob's safe escape. Then a helicopter arrived, but this time Bob was prepared. They ran quickly to draw the helicopter's attention, and when it reached the bomb location, Bob pressed the button, causing the helicopter to crash. Afterward, Nick contacted his boss and informed him that he was with Bob. It was all part of Bob's plan to lead them to Johnson. Shortly after, Bob received a call from Johnson. Bob offered Johnson a deal, proposing to give him the recording of Sandor's confession in exchange for Sarah. In the recording, Sandor detailed how Johnson had destroyed an entire village for an oil company, but Johnson agreed to the deal to protect his secrets. They arranged to meet at a snowy mountain. Johnson, McComb, and one of Johnson's men arrived there with Sarah. However, a man approached them, and Johnson's sniper shot him. These individuals thought they were being clever, but it was actually part of Bob's plan. The man was Nick, wearing a thick iron sheet in his jacket. Bob discovered the location of Johnson's sniper and swiftly killed him. Bob also shot the man who had been holding Sarah captive. Nick had already written a letter to the FBI about the encounter. After eliminating the sniper, Bob revealed himself to everyone. Nick had already disarmed them. Sarah picked up a gun and killed the man who had kidnapped and tormented her. Bob first calmed her down and then began talking to McComb. McComb explained that those people had come to kill him, and the recording was of no use. He revealed that there was so much corruption in the government that it was unimaginable. Bob realized that he was telling the truth and proceeded to burn the recording in front of them. However, the FBI arrived and apprehended them. After a few days, Bob was brought before high-ranking FBI officers, and the Attorney General in Washington, D.C., Nick, Johnson, and Sarah were also present. Bob requested his recovered rifle to prove his innocence. In reality, Bob had removed the firing pins before leaving the house, making it impossible for that rifle to have been used in a long-range shooting. He even fired a shot near Nick, who was present, as evidence. Based on this evidence, the Attorney General released him. However, they could not believe the charges against Johnson and McComb because there was no evidence against them. Some days later, Johnson and McComb were on vacation at a mountain house, unaware that Bob was preparing to kill them. Bob systematically eliminated all the corrupt individuals present there. As they were leaving, he shot a gas pipe, causing an explosion to destroy any evidence. Afterward, he met Sarah, and together they set out to start a new life. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe to the channel. We'll see you in the next video.